His reputation really turned black under the Victorians when they came to the stage of sentimentalising the Middle Ages and the religion of pre-Reformation England, an activity in which, of course, a good many historians are still engaged. Cromwell then, in their minds, became the destroyer of this golden age, the demolisher of the picturesque, a money man, the man with a hard practical eye and no imagination. Elton thought that even in his day, Cromwell was the continuing victim of that very English vice, snobbery. Not a varsity man, you see, not a trained intellect, just a functionary, executing the king's terrible will. And worse than that, a Machiavellian schemer with a holy agenda of his own. I don't deny at all that he was a ruthless man, but you may think he's outshone by the Duke of Norfolk, who was Cromwell's enemy, a conservative in religion, second to nobody in the land grab when the monastic estates were confiscated, and someone who took a leading role in the legal processes against two of his nieces, Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard, saw them both condemned to death. And yet very few of us carry the Duke of Norfolk in our mind as an example of self-serving malefice. Now, Cromwell, I can tell you, doesn't readily yield to the dramatist or the popular or the novelist. There are not any good biographies of him either. There are books that say Thomas Cromwell on the spine, and inside them, there isn't a man. There are studies of aspects of policy, aspects of his thought. What makes it hard for the biographical imagination, as for the novelist, is this seeming absence of a private life. But we know he had one. What else are those beautiful houses for? The tennis courts and bowling alleys, the gardens, the pictures to be looked at, and the books to be read. It goes against Cromwell with posterity that he never explained himself. And as far as we know, he never bothered to add himself up for anybody. And whether he added up to himself, I'll never know. My idea of him is that he was not a man given to excessive introspection or retrospection. For him, the arrow points straight to the future. So, if the lost diary of Thomas Cromwell turns up anytime soon, take it that it's a forgery by my evil twin. The role of fictionalizer in history is a perpetually uneasy one. There's never a day when you're entirely happy with the accommodation you've found. And every working day you seem to have to negotiate a new set of compromises between the complexity of the facts as we have them and the demands of the reader for clarity and narrative pace. And every day you have to make a new and honest relationship with the facts that are simply missing. I try not to bend the facts to my narrative's demand, but work my telling around the best facts I can find. But a novel, a play, a film can influence the way two generations think. Robert Bolt did it with A Man for All Seasons, which confirmed the role of Thomas Cromwell as pantomime villain, burning a man's hand in a candle flame to coerce him and make a point. Now that dramatic gesture has a real life antecedent, but it wasn't Cromwell, it was Bishop Bonner in the reign of Mary Tudor, who held the hand of a Protestant prisoner in the candle flame to give him a foretaste of hell. Now, I'm a cradle Catholic, and my education, such as it was in the history of this era, suggested that Thomas More was indeed a saint and Thomas Cromwell a devil. I don't want to take anyone's saint away from them. But when Cromwell's commissioners toured the monastic churches in the 1530s, they found that the faithful were giving money to see statues of saints that jerk their limbs and roll their eyes. And they went round the back and they found that the limbs and the eyes were worked by wires. And in writing my novel about Cromwell, Wolf Hall, that's been my suggestion. Let's go around the back and try and find the wires. I think that good history and good drama can work together. My writing life has struggled to make this true, but I think we have to bear in mind that a novelist or dramatist is not bound to be impartial. Historians have to at least pretend to be, but writers of fiction needn't even pretend. Possible that the pendulum of fashion will swing back. We can once more acknowledge Cromwell's interest and importance. Henry's coastal forts stood the test of time. They were used in the Civil War, the Napoleonic War. They were still in use in the 2 world wars in the last century. And by contrast, Thomas Cromwell's projected reforms were, well, they were castles in the air, really. It wasn't until 1925 that we began the registration of land. We still wonder about how to support the unemployed, how to balance freedom and state security, how to police ourselves. These questions are the fundamental stuff of politics. They had to face them in the 1530s, just as we do today. But whatever happens to the academic debate about that decade, I think it would add to our understanding of our country's past. If we recognised the vitality and the creativity of what Thomas Cromwell tried to do, and realised simply this, that history could have been otherwise. Thank you.
It falls to me to thank Hilary Mantel for a wonderful talk and for a rich, complex, and I think sympathetic imagining of Cromwell as an innovator and as a man who had a vision of the future that was eventually to be. So thank you very much indeed for a wonderful, wonderful talk. And we hope now you'll all join us for a reception just outside. And we'd like to ask you to leave, please, through the front door. So, thank you.